What's up, ladies and gentlemen? All right. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Once again, I don't want to do this. I'm so tired. I had some IRL shit. That's why this stream is late. It is 9:15 for me. I got home at 6:30. I've been doing shit since I got home. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna work out after. So we're really doing stuff today. That's all to say. Let's do a neat code. I'm probably going to do another 2.01, and then I might read through, instead of doing two pointers, I might read through this part one thing, because I don't want to, like, when I make it, just implement this part one fully. Like, that sounds stupid. I don't really want to do that. But I do want to learn from it, you know? You catching my drift? So, thinking we're going to do that. Let me charge. Boom. Okay. It's just a planet project without access to real database. What do you mean? Just get access to a database. I'm fucking with you. Okay, do we try threesome? Let's try threesome. You fucker. Spoilers. I know I have to sort it. Hee hee hoo. Okay. Let's figure this out. Where are my dogs? One of them is there. Okay. Given an integer array nums, return all triplets where they are equal to 0. And the indices are distinct. Better have fun solving. Thanks, man. I hope you figure your database thing out. I don't really know what it is, but Godspeed, brother. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, I understand this. Yeah. Okay, I understand this. So we're going to pick, and by pick, we'll traverse 1. We keep that stationary. We then say our left is going to be that index plus 1. And we say our right's going to be the far right one. And we're really just implementing what we did yesterday, which is, I forget the name of the problem, but essentially, like, we check against our target. If the target's too little, then we bring our left in. If our target's too much, we bring our right in. And we just traverse like that. So I think that's not too bad. I always forget this, and it's kind of embarrassing and like a running joke, but which one's in place and which one's not. Dot sort is in place. Okay. Sorted nums. Zoom out of here. Okay. So, like I said, we'll be going over Suriname. We need a res as well, because we need all instances. Is that real? Do I want to do this? No, I just don't. I want to do for I in range up until n-2. And then we're going to implement our left as, I guess, j is going to be I plus 1, our k is going to be equal to n minus 1. And then our target is going to be equal to L less than R. If sorted nums at I plus sorted, I should really store these. Can't type right now. Sorted nums. Yeah. All right, we're on the right track. So if the sum is 0, and we append just take this. Sum is less than, if it's greater than 0, we're too much, so we want to move our right in. So k minus equals 1. Else we're gonna move, because if it's 0, what do we want to do? Is it fine to always move left in? We'll see. Why did I get it twice? It's most of the way there. I think my family just got home. Oh no. Okay. Why is it doubling? I mean, the easier check is to like only add distinct. Okay, I guess we'll just do a distinct. I can still do that. Nope. Okay, I just don't think that's how you're supposed to do it, but whatever, it works. Oh, you just move both in. Real. I guess this makes sense. What's up, John? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Alrighty. That one felt pretty good. I'll read through this. And then I'm gonna hop off to continue these like 17-ish minute streams. There's no better way to learn something than building it. Well, we're gonna read it first and then we're gonna build it, okay? Nowadays, almost everything is all using containers. We were doing a project before. I don't know what you mean by before. Back when I was streaming like a couple months ago, I was doing a project. I'm gonna work on this container project now. Not like now, but like over this summer. Over time though, because I'm not kind of burnt out after these days. One second, my dog is barking. So, alrighty. Containers. The old containers were not more than a mix of Linux namespaces and C groups. Modern containers like Docker and Podman will reach a complex state with more than that. We'll keep ourselves in the namespace in the field. Yeah, we're just doing a baby one. We have namespaces which isolate the Linux kernel global system resources like mounting points or network devices. We also have C groups, which limit resource usage like memory and CPU. Gotcha. One guarantees isolation while the other guarantees it won't starve. We have a few types of namespaces, each wrapping specific global system resources in an abstraction. For example, the PID namespace is isolate. Yeah, that makes sense. It allows every container to have its own init. Makes a ton of sense. The second step involves calling the mount syscall, which is something we will be doing in subsequent posts. Unsharing. Gotcha. Do I got you? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Processes created during the booting are within the root namespaces. Processors? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And their children spawned by a fork or a clone syscall will inherit them. Yeah, so they're root ones, then you fork, create those child processes, you inherit that. The only way to not inherit them is if you ask to unshare the namespaces. Or you can do it by passing specific flags to the clone syscall or by calling the unshare syscall. Okay. So we malloc a megabyte. Check for the failure of allocation. We clone. If we fail, we fail. Wait, free it. Super simple. The code above is simple, even though it's written using C. The first part prepares and calls the clone syscall, and then the parent process waits for the child while it prints its PID. It's important to note that the child process does not share the. Okay, that makes sense. I don't really understand why it would. Okay. So it's saying, and then the first part prepares and calls the syscall. Waits for the child while it prints its PID. Where does the child print its PID here? Okay. The function to run in the child. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. The output of the above code is interesting because it shows the child has a process of 1, and it's different from the host PID 1. Child with PID 1 here, parent with PID. Interesting. It requires being a super user, and we could avoid this by using user namespaces, but this is a discussion for later. Okay, sure. I think that makes sense to me. It does make sense to me. We can create nested namespaces, and every namespace must have a parent. But for the root namespaces, makes sense because we start with the roots and everything is forked and cloned off of that. So for example, the PID namespace we created above for the child's process has the root as its parent. Yeah. But if it calls the clone syscall again, the parent won't be the root anymore. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. We'd add more namespaces. Kinds by change. That's bad grammar. By changing the clone syscall. Another essential one for containers is the mount namespace, which isolates mounting points seen from within the namespace. You'll create chroot. I always say this is chroot. I don't know how you actually were supposed to pronounce that. Oh yeah, I have this one bookmarked. So I'll have to read this at some point. Executing a shell. We want to execute different commands inside our container, so we must modify our code to spawn a shell that we can control. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so now our run child takes in a file name and an argv and just execs that file with those args. Same malloc process, same args. We then run the child with that. Okay, pretty easy. I modified this function to execute the file given in the command line. I also changed the clone syscall parameters to unshare the mount namespace and pass the arguments. Okay, so what else is different here? Okay, so this uses a clone new PID. I don't really understand these. So they're just flags? Ah, gotcha, okay. Sure. Can now get a shell inside our isolated environment, and we could even run other commands as shown above. Gotcha, 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 okay. So we sudo run this with this, and then we're there. Gotcha. Next steps would be isolating mounting points in the PID name system. Yeah, okay. I mean, a lot of this is logical, like this beginning part. So this part, I'm glad is just intuitive. So it's essentially just clone, just make forks, and then that is your space as long as you specify the right flags. And then you can run some function. Okay. Cool. I will read more about this probably tomorrow. I'm gonna go try to get a very quick workout in. So I'm gonna get off. If anyone's still here and sat through me reading that like a little bedtime story, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If anyone is watching this later, thanks for watching. Connect with me on LinkedIn. It's recruiting season. If anyone knows anyone that could help me in recruiting season, I'm shameless and I need a job. for 2026 summer. So, very shameless. Terrell, have a great night. Anyone else watching this? Have a great night as well. I'm going to head off. Good night, guys.